Hey guys, it's been 2 weeks. It's been some time. I've been busy filming classes, doing things for the children. But now that I've covered the natives, the Native Americans, hey guys, let me just grab TikTok and we'll get this party started. I wanted to do a community stream. Ooh, who's that guy? He's crushing. All right. Okay. All right, let's go. Let's go live. Live. Go live. What should we call this party? Let's call it Observational Confidence. Okay, we are live. Good morning, TikTok. It has been some time, but we are coming at you with the Friday community stream. I wasn't able to do it last Friday because, well, I tried, but life got in the way. So here I am, and today we're going to have an exciting talk about developing observational confidence in our children. And the more that I build out curriculum, because many of you know that I'm the founder of the Classical Learner Homeschooling Company, I'm always trying to structure it in a way that empowers our children to have the skills they need as they grow up. And we did a lot of science with the scientific method, something we're still doing. We need to continue to do the scientific method series. But I felt that there was something missing. And it made me think of Leonardo da Vinci. Because when Leonardo da Vinci was growing up, when he was a kid, and this was one of the greatest scientists in the history of the world. In fact, I'm going to talk about da Vinci. I'm going to talk about Ben Franklin. When da Vinci was growing up, one of the best scientists in the history of the world, he observed the world for himself. It wasn't that he was reading scientific textbooks that said, this is this or this is that. Leonardo da Vinci was taking birds, he was dissecting them, he was weighing their feathers, he was measuring their bones, and he was trying to understand their characteristics, because when da Vinci looked out into the world and he saw birds fly, he put it together. He had what I call the observational confidence to say, if a bird could fly, then so can I. And everyone else around him said, that guy is crazy. That guy is lost. That guy's out there. He's a lunatic, right? Where these words come from. They all said, that guy's out there. He's lost. He's crazy. Well, who was crazy? Was it Leonardo da Vinci? Or was it everyone else in society? And then who do we want our children to be? Do we want our children to be everyone else in society, or do we want them to be Leonardo da Vinci? Well, this is a homeschool platform, so I think I know the answer to that, is we all want our children to be Leonardo da Vinci. In fact, it's funny I've come back to this, because when I first started with Classical Learner, one of the catchphrases I thought about going was to discover the Renaissance man in every child, right? And then, like, I'm back here on Da Vinci. Well, the same thing is true with Ben Franklin, right? Like, everyone knows about Ben Franklin's scientific discoveries, right? Ben Franklin invented the bifocals. Ben Franklin made the Franklin stove, like a wood-burning stove. Ben Franklin invented that. And, of course, his work with the lightning rods and electricity. And people know the famous story. Ben Franklin, he took a kite out into a storm. He tied a key to it, and the kite was hit by lightning. Now, I've looked into that story, and I don't know if it's accurate. It's Ben Franklin never made that claim. So, but he definitely did a lot of work with electricity, and he did invent the lightning rod. So, for those of you, for people not aware, prior to the lightning rod, when Ben Franklin invented that, hundreds and hundreds of houses burnt down every year from getting hit by lightning. So, the lightning rod was a revolutionary invent. Now we don't think about that, right? You don't, when there's a lightning storm, you're not like, oh man, I hope my house doesn't burn down. Well, before Ben Franklin, you did worry about that a lot. But Ben Franklin, just like Da Vinci, he was out there and he was doing experiments. He was using his observations of the world, right? Because he looked at lightning and he said, there's electrical power behind that, he believed. And he didn't quite know how to express it, but he kind of knew what it was and he wanted to explore it. Well, to me, we want to develop that type of observational confidence in our children from a very young age. We want them to look at the world, observe the world, and then through their observations make their own theories about how the world really functions. The men of the past are not our heroes. I mean, Jesus is my hero. So, it's funny because I'll get back into the science stuff in a minute, but I like to see how every 4 years people look at the elections, right? And what you see is like, they'll be like, oh, I like this guy, but do you think he's on our team? Do you think he's really on our side? And I'm like, man, people just make these politicians into idols. Everyone's always looking for a false idol. Who's my idol? Who's the guy who, no matter what he says, I'm just going to listen to that, right? Like, you guys saw it. Trump was an idol. Obama was an idol, right? American Idol. It's like they mock you, right? Stop making people idols, right? Like, is LeBron James my idol? Is Tom Brady my idol? Stop making these people idols. Like, you could appreciate someone's skill set. You could appreciate, how Tom Brady throws a football or how LeBron James dunks a basketball. You could appreciate how in 2016, how Trump came out and he said things that people weren't saying. He's like, yeah, of course the system's corrupt. I've been paying the politicians. Like, that was some revolutionary stuff he said, right? He questioned the event in 2001, right? Like, but the problem is everyone made him an idol, right? He said a couple of true things. Everyone made him an idol. I get how a segment of the population could have looked at Obama and said, man, this guy, he's really standing. He's standing for the oppressed, right? He wants us to have health care. He made him an idol. And as soon as you make these people an idol, they own you. And then you find out that they're not an idol, that they should have never been an idol. I get that a lot because in my community, like, there's an old clip of Kanye West from a few years ago, or like I think it was like a rapper talking about Kanye, and they're like, I called up Kanye, and he was in the studio, and he was like, yeah, no, I'm recording with Puff Daddy and Nas right now, or something like that, and they were like, what? And he was like, yeah, because my life is dope, and he hung up. Well, I was just about to get into this story. I was like, my friends, like people that I'm pretty close with now, are basically in Kanye's inner circle, which is hilarious because my life is dope. I don't know. I got a kick out of that. So, no, yeah, he's not a Yahtzee sympathizer. I mean, people, that's what I mean. People, like, they listen to the news and they make idols, but they didn't even listen to what the guy said. They didn't listen to what the guy said. He said he loves everyone. So no matter who they brought up, he loved that person. And why was he saying he loved everyone? He also said that he loved Jeffrey Dahmer and Joseph Stalin and Mao Zedong, right? Stop listening to clickbait and listen to what the guy says. He said he loves everyone because he's a Christian and Jesus told him to love everyone. And he said that the only way you could heal is through the love of Christ. And to do that, you have to really love everyone. And that was his message. Now, I understand that you think that because, he's not a rhetorical genius. All everyone does is talk about him. If you want to know if someone's a rhetorical genius, see who everyone talks about. And that's your rhetorical genius. Obama is a rhetorical genius. Trump is a rhetorical genius. Elon Musk is a high performing rhetorical genius. Kanye West, or I'm sorry, my apologies. Ye West is a rhetorical genius. Owen Benjamin is a rhetorical genius, right? People who understand how to push buttons to trigger everyone around them and to get everyone's emotions going. That's a skill. That's in classical education, it's broken down into three phases, right? Like the education that the children of the rich and powerful have gotten for thousands of years is based. By the way, I think there's limitations to classical education. I don't think the rich and powerful are necessarily the most intelligent bunch, but they're very good at this because their children are taught grammar in early childhood, logic in middle school, and rhetoric in high school. And by the way, we are going to be focusing on rhetoric because it's very powerful. And rhetoric is the art of persuasion. It's the art of, so you say they were a Christian nation, but they weren't Christian. Like, there's a difference, right? Like, you could claim to be anything, but did they follow Christ, right? Because Christ wouldn't invade Poland. Christ wouldn't invade Russia, right? So, like, there's a difference, you know? Anyway, I can't spend time breaking down everyone's, you know, mischaracterizations and false understanding, their falsely held beliefs of how the world functions. Like, we got to be critical thinkers here. But so Ye he's a rhetorician and he knows how to push buttons, and that's why even as he's, you know, silenced, he'll keep getting attention because he knows how to do that, right? Like, it's a real skill set. But anyway, so just back to my story. So yeah, like, my friends are basically on his inner circle. But yeah, he never said he I mean, he said that, but again, he said that in the context that he also loves Jeffrey Dahmer and Mao Zedong, because his message, that's why they were like, what's your campaign slogan? And his campaign slogan was the Bible. Right? I'm a master manipulator like other Christians. What about the other religions? What about the ones in the Middle East or the ones you're not allowed to talk about? Are they master manipulators, or is it just my religion? By the way, I have nothing but respect for all those people. I respect every religion. And yeah, of course there's manipulation. When you get religion, you will always get manipulation because you get into the arena of idol, right? You get into the arena of idols, you get into the arena of emotional beliefs, and there will always be emotional manipulators. Like, for example, the Vatican, I mean, that's just Rome, right? Like, what was the Council of Nicaea? Why was Mass read in Latin for most of history, right? A language that people don't speak because they don't want people to understand the word of Christ. They don't want to understand God, right? Like, see, Mr. Rogers, I don't think you're as confident I don't think you're as confident as you project. I don't think you would go into an Arab, I don't think you would go into one of their chats and talk like this about my people. Now, I understand you have an opinion, and you've stated, and I've allowed you to state it. But if you knock Christians one more time, I will ban you. Because now it's gotten to the point where, like, one, okay, I understand. You probably had a bad experience with Christians. You don't like Christians. I'll let you say that. If you keep doing it, you're actually, you see the irony? You're the hateful one. Do you see the irony? You probably don't because you're blinded by hatred, right? It's the same reason why you couldn't understand. You didn't hear what Ye actually said, right? You didn't hear what he actually said. Now, like, when I judge the value of a man, when I judge the value of Christians are so filled with love, and you're banned, you can silence him. He can listen. Melissa, silence him, but don't let him speak. Right? And no, that's a mischaracterization. You're silencing me because, hey, no, I'm silencing you because you stated that you're against Christians. I'm fine with that. Like, but when you keep just trying to take over the chat, every comment, oh, you Christians are so hateful. You're so hateful. Like, you're rude. Like, this is my house. You came into my house, right? I would never, ever act that way toward another faith. Like, I would never go to a mosque and just start spewing my hatred, or a synagogue and start spewing my hatred. I would never do that, right? See, you don't get it. You're a gamma male. You're like, oh, you're silencing people who don't think like you. That's clearly not what's happening here. I'm more than happy with you stating that you've had bad experiences with Christians. In fact, the devil is, if you were the devil on earth, the places you want to take over the most are the churches. You want to take over the churches, you want to take over the synagogues, you want to take over the mosques, right? Because the devil wants to be the head of religion on earth, right? That's why, like, the higher up you get, like, let's use the Catholic Church as an example. The higher up you get, like, the Pope is basically the devil's right-hand man on earth, right? We all know what they do. We all know about their arrest and the grooming and all the stuff that goes on in the Catholic Church. It's well documented. It's like, it's reported on the mainstream news, right? I mean, not that they say the truth a lot. They don't say a lot of truth. Yeah, people have no idea what religion has done to her. America was a great nation because it was a Christian nation. And America needs to get back to that. And people who are like, oh no, it's so hateful. No, you've been brainwashed to think that. If you go back to, if you like watch videos from 1910 of New York City, you can see how safe it was. It was a completely different landscape, right? You can see how safe it was. If you look at like your grandparents' generation with Elvis and Marilyn Monroe, right? And the people who were listening to Elvis and Marilyn Monroe, their grandparents were saying this is an abomination, right? They were saying this is abhorrent. And remember, there's, oh, you're squares. Don't be a square. Don't be a square. And they were like, no, this is public sexualization. This is disgusting. This is the demoralization of America. Listen to the word, demoralization. I'll get to minorities. Demoralization, right? They were moral, right? They were unmoralizing, demoralizing the United States of America to the point now where you can't go outside without everything being hyper-sexualized in your face. And like people don't even recognize it anymore. Like you turn on Instagram and it is straight PORN. Like it's straight that. And I recognize that because I don't watch that stuff ever. Right? I don't watch that stuff ever. Right? I don't drink alcohol. I don't watch PORN. I actually try to walk with Christ. Now, I'm very fallen. I fall very short. I could be fickle at times. I could be emotional. I'm a flawed man. All right? But I try to walk with Christ. And I don't try to walk with Christ. I do walk with Christ. Christ is right next to me right now. And God is inside me. God is all around me. But don't mistake religion with what God is, because there's people that hijack religion. But with that being said, the roots of this Christian nation, it was a much safer place. It was a much more trustworthy place. And then people will say, well, what about minorities? Well, yeah, America came from a place where people of different backgrounds were very untrusting of each other, and there were certainly terrible institutions like the institution of slavery, right? But you have to understand that America also came from a place where individual rights wasn't even a concept. You're like, oh, well, there was slavery? Yeah, there also wasn't individual rights. These weren't concepts. That wasn't something, you wouldn't walk around and be like, I have free speech, I have individual rights. They'd be like, what are you talking about? No, you don't. What are you talking about? That wasn't a thing. You understand? So it's like, these people like Jefferson and Ben Franklin, they pushed forward human liberty on a scale that no one had ever even come close to doing what they did in terms of pushing forward human liberty. And then in terms of like Christianity, look up the marriage rates of African Americans in 1950. You ready for this? You ready for this? The marriage rates of African Americans in 1950 was higher than that of Caucasian America. Because they were a Christian people. Look how people dressed back then compared to how the youth dresses now. It's like, oh my God, that's so hate. No, it's not. That's obvious. It's not good culture. It's not good culture right now. And by the way, that's pushed on the youth. That's pushed on the youth, that culture. By the rap music. Oh, Ye is so hateful. You might want to listen to him. He might be trying to help people, right? But it's pushed by the rap music, right? So here goes my single dog. Radio needs this. They say you could rap about anything except for Jesus. That means sex, lies, videotapes. But if I talk about God, my record won't get played, huh? See, that's where people are like, no, it's just a different culture. No, a culture that glorifies selling drugs and drug use and violence. That's not good culture. That's really bad culture. A culture that glorifies sexual relations out of wedlock is not good culture. That's bad culture. Like, that's the thing. Like, you guys are the ones filled with hatred. And you're like, oh, you're so ignorant and whatnot. Like, no, I'm honest. And you're not helping anyone by saying that glorifying the sexualization of young people is good culture. It's not good culture. That glorifying narcotics is good culture. Again, don't straw man me. I understand that's not all African American culture. In fact, there are large segments of African American culture that are based. By the way, you know what that is? It's the Christian African American culture that's based. You're agreeing with me, but you think you're disagreeing. You're like, that's not all. Yeah, I know. It's Christian African American culture. It's based. And by the way, you're so hateful. These people have great respect for me. Great respect. But see, that's fine. I'll deal with the hatred. Like, that's fine. I come out here for my community. I don't come in here for everyone else. By the way, Melissa, spread the word. Melissa, Tammy, Jennifer, all of you. I know we got our private threads going on inside Homeschools Connected. I really need the primary chat to be where you guys talk, because you guys wouldn't have found each other. You guys wouldn't have found each other if it wasn't for the primary chat. So I need the new people to see the primary chat. And now everyone's in their own private threads, and it like kind of kills what we're building. So we need that primary chat. Get in there, talk every day, talk about your day, just spread what we are, because it's beautiful. Oh, it's push. There are plenty of rappers that don't push. It's not what sells. See that again, once again, I'm showing I understand it better than you. And it's like, oh, you're hateful. No. There are tons of rappers who rap about God, who rap about morality, who rap about family. Oh, look, Anchor Bear's in the chat. He's one of them. But there are tons of African American rappers who rap about, they're on TikTok. They're great. They're grassroots organic. They rap about God. They rap about morality. They rap about farming. They rap about all this stuff. Good culture. They rap about waiting till marriage. But they aren't pushed by the mainstream. Now, why don't they get pushed by the mainstream? It's not because of what sells. The mainstream pushes what they want to sell. And they're selling the youth of America a what? A bad culture. So you can call me hateful for saying it's bad culture. It is bad culture. You're the hateful one for not calling it out. It is not okay to push promiscuity, to have false idols push promiscuity on young children. It is not okay to have false idols push gun violence on young children. It is not okay to have false idols push narcotic use on young children. It is not okay to have false idols push gang membership on young children. And then what happens is they embrace that culture. They have children out of wedlock. They wind up in poverty, and it creates a cycle. And then the family breaks down. So in the 1950s, you're calling me hateful. In the 1950s, when there was a higher marriage rate amongst African Americans, Christian African America, than white Americans, now that deteriorates to 75% of babies are out of wedlock. 75% of babies out of wedlock is a cultural disaster. There is nothing more likely to break down a people than babies out of wedlock. Children need moms and dads. Children need strong moral role models. And you can call me all the names you want, but that's what I am. I'm a strong moral role model. Because I don't drink alcohol. I don't watch films that are inappropriate. In fact, if I'm watching a television show, I won't even watch kissing. I've gotten to the point where if I see two other adults kiss, I think it's highly inappropriate. Like just regular kissing I won't even watch. I'll fast forward. Because I am no longer desensitized, and I see what everyone else doesn't see once you turn off all the muck, right? How gross our culture has become. And I model that to young people, because I haven't had a drink of alcohol in 3 years. I don't ever watch that inappropriate stuff. I live life within my means. I don't try to keep up with the Joneses. I homestead. I grow my own food. I homeschool my children. I run a business. I help other people build their businesses. So people can call me all the names you want, but you don't live the life I live. You haven't walked the journey that I've walked, and that's why your inner circle doesn't hang out with Ye. Because when you do interesting things, you meet really interesting people. And they say, oh, he's so hateful. No, he's not. So here goes my single dog. Radio needs this. They say you could rap about anything except for Jesus. Sex, lies, videotapes. But if I talk about God, my record won't get played, huh? Anchor probably raps it better. Anchor, when you teaching a music class for me? The youth of America needs you. And that's the truth about our culture. That's the truth about our society. But this talk started with not making people into false idols, right? So, like, I could like Ye, but I don't make him an idol. Like, I don't agree with everything he says. Like, I think he's going on a path. But I like people that are honest. I like people that are willing to lose things. You want to know why I love Kyrie Irving? Because he gave up $15 million. That's a man I'll follow. I will follow a man who's willing to give up $15 million. I will follow a man that's willing to give up $8 billion. I will follow a man who is willing to give up a Hollywood career, $30,000 a night doing stand-up comedy, to go cut down trees with his brother, Owen Benjamin. I will follow that man. I will support that man. And I don't care what anyone calls me. I don't care if they want to call me names. I would rather stand with one good man than 7 billion fake people. Give me one good man. And that's the hill I'll die on. But the thing is, it's not a hill to die on, it's a hill to grow on. Because when you start rolling in these circles, like, what do you think these people are doing? Look at the spiritual message coming out of Kyrie. Talking about how we're all God's children, how we're all in God's love. Look at Kyrie. Look at Ye. He's built his own schools. He has all this farmland, right? He has farmland. He is talking about like setting up homesteads for people in his community, right? Like, these are builders. Look at Owen Benjamin. He's homesteaded. He started the Bear community of all these homesteaders. He promotes homeschooling. He promotes people to have children. Let's see if Mr. Rogers learned to be respectful. Again, you could talk here, but if every comment coming out of your mouth is, oh, Christians are so bad, that's disrespectful. That's disrespectful. Learn to behave yourself. You wouldn't come to my dinner table and act that way, right? I would never go into a mosque and act that way. That's so inappropriate. I would never go into a synagogue and act that way. That's so inappropriate. And you wouldn't either, because you only criticize what you're authorized to criticize. I guarantee you wouldn't do that. Oh, but Christians, right? Christians have the power, but you're allowed to attack them, right? If you ever want to know who's in power, you figure out what you're not allowed to attack. And if there's something that you're encouraged to attack relentlessly, understand this is basic logic. Maybe you should take my middle school logic course. Basic logic. If the institutions encourage you to relentlessly attack something, then that's not where the institutional power is. You understand? But if there's something you're not allowed to attack, that's where the institutional power is. This is basic ABC logic, right? A child could understand this. Let's see what Mr. Rogers said, and let's see if we're gonna ban him or not. Not ban, we'll mute him. We'll let him listen. You love to talk about your business rather than helping your community. Yeah, my business teaches moms how to homeschool their children. I structured my entire life around helping people. And by the way, Mr. Rogers, if you want to be good at business, right? When you're not like Walmart and you're not a parasite, if you want to be good at business, you know how you do that? You help people. It's rocket science. No, Jesus chased the Pharisee out of the temple. You're in my saloon. Do you think I walk around being this loud in public? I'm actually very humble in public. I generally don't even speak about my beliefs ever in social settings because most people aren't prepared to hear them. This is my microphone. You come to my lecture in my house. I will be as loud and rambunctious and talk about whatever I want here. You understand that? People are here to hear me speak, and you'd be like, oh, there's 18 people here. I don't care. Like I just said, I'd rather roll with one good man or 18 good people than a billion fake people. And most people in our society are fake. Most people don't even know they're lying because they lie to themselves. That's how far fallen they are. Say a lot of things about me, but I'm honest. Yeah, most people wouldn't recognize Jesus if he was standing right next to them. In fact, the majority of people who call themselves Christians would call for the persecution of Christ. The majority of people who call themselves Christian would persecute Christ. They'd call him hateful. They'd want him silenced. We all know who NASA was founded by. Oh, he loves NASA. He loves NASA. Anchor Bear knows what NASA is. All right. So anyway, I just went off on that little rant. But where were we? Because we were talking about. Do I think Jesus teaches communism? I think to a degree. I actually believe in communism to a degree. Voluntary communism. Like, I believe in communes. Like, I grow my food and I give it to my neighbors. Now, do I believe that the government should take what is mine and force me to do that? No, and I don't think Jesus advocated for that as well. No, that's not what he advocated for. Did he advocate for taking care of your neighbors and just working as a community? Yes, but the problem with communism is it's not voluntary, right? So it can never work, right? They're like, we're gonna beat you with a stick until you give up your. That's not what Jesus. Oh, atheists? Who was behind the Bolshevik Resolution? Anyway, I'm sure Anchor knows. I'm not gonna get into it here. So anyway, we were talking about, before I went off on my rant, yeah, Jesus was a Jewish carpenter. He was based. He was based. Do I believe in the Weth? I mean, I believe that's what, yeah, that I believe they want to do what they say they want to do, right? They have their agenda. By the way, everyone thinks like, oh, Agenda 2030, we'll all be in chains in 2030. No, that's not how this works. All right, let me explain something to you. They had Agenda 21, which, again, a lot of people misunderstand. They think that was like the year 2021. No, Agenda 21 was the Agenda 21st Century. That's what it stood for. They had a meeting about it in 1988 in Brazil, global United Nations meeting. And they created this Agenda 21, which is the Agenda 21st Century. And then in the year 2000, when they got to the 21st century, they set Agenda 2030, which is a list of objectives that they want to accomplish by 2030. Now, will they accomplish all those objectives? No. We're based. Just walk with Christ. But they have their objectives for 2030. Then at 2030, they're going to have Agenda 2050, right? And they just set the next block of goals. And they are trying to push society closer and closer toward a one world monolithic order, right? That's what they want. Which they want biometric data on everyone, so they want to be able to have as much data as possible on every person, and they basically want to control your movement, they want to control your carbon footprint, and ultimately what they want to control is your reproduction, right? Because here's the thing, like, Lucifer hates his followers, right? Like, hates his slaves. And so, like, the people that follow the New World Order, like, I know, like, Bill Burr famously said, like, why would you want to get rid of the people that follow you? Bill, because they hate you, right? They hate you. They view the majority of the public as useless eaters. And by the way, like, that the thing is, when you don't have Christ, that's a natural way of looking at things. Like, just being a social media influencer and seeing how, like, no matter what you say, people straw man you, how they just, like, they're always so triggered, like, the negativity and the hatred people put out into the world all the time, and, like, they're, like, pathetic worldviews, like the black pill. Like, if you don't follow Christ, the natural conclusion is that to do exactly what the New World Order is doing, because they view all these people as useless eaters. But when you view the world like Kanye, and you believe everyone, no matter who they are, is a child of God, you don't want to hurt people. See the irony? You see the irony? It's always the inverted. They're like, look, Kanye said he loved a bad man. Kanye also said he loved Jeffrey Dahmer, Mao Zedong. He said he loves everyone because Christ orders him to love everyone. Everyone is God's child, and everyone has the potential of Christ inside them. It's the exact opposite of what is perpetuated by the institutions and by the system. Everything's the upside down in the upside down world. Jesus walks, God show me the way, because the devil's trying to break me down. Jesus walk with me, with me. You know what the Midwest is? Young and restless. At best is, might snatch your necklace. Do you know who Ye West is? So here goes my single dog, radio needs this. They say you can rap about anything except for Jesus. Sex, lies, videotapes, but if I talk about God, my record won't get played. Huh? Nicole made me a fruit smoothie. Man, I love it. I love it. Melissa, I gotta tell you, I miss doing this all the time. I think my time is more valuable building out curriculum for the kids and, like I can make the YouTube videos, I can make the courses. Like this week I made a course on the history of Ben Franklin. Really interesting guy, really interesting historical figure. And there's a lot to cover there too with Ben Franklin. Like for one, a lot of people don't know that in 1998, his old house was dug up and they found 10 dead bodies in his basement. They found the skeletons of 6 children and 4 adults in his basement. They were sawed apart. They had drill marks through their skull. And that was a house he owned in London. Like, that's really interesting, you know? Especially with, like, he was a Freemason. Now, what's my opinion? My opinion is I actually think there was an anatomy school in that house, and they probably did illegal studies into human anatomy postpartum, is my, that's my theory about why those bodies were there. But I could be wrong. He could have just been like a serial killer, I don't know. I wasn't there. I don't know, because I wasn't there. Hold on, there's, your tax money's flying over my head. Because I'm proud to be an American, where at least I'm told I'm free. Stand up next to you here today. There ain't no doubt I love this place. God bless the USA. I do love this place. I love me some America, where at least I'm told I'm free. That's all right. The truth is that freedom comes from the manner through which we live our lives, right? Because there's always people trying to take our freedom. And that's what I try to educate the next generation on. That, like, our freedom doesn't come from Nancy. You're never going to get your freedom from Nancy Pelosi. You're never going to get your freedom from Mitch McConnell. You're never going to get your freedom from Joe Biden. You're never going to get your freedom from Donald Trump. You're never going to get your freedom from Hillary Clinton. You're never going to get your freedom from Ron DeSantis. You're never going to get your freedom from Elon Musk. Your freedom comes from the way in which you live your life. And that's why from a very young age, we focus on teaching children critical thinking, over memorization, right? Skill development, and getting them entrepreneurial experience. So, like, we want our children to be carpenters. We want our children to, like, that's why this year we had the children build garden boxes. We had them make their own greenhouses. We had them do composting. We had them make their own fertilizer. We had them grow their own crops, host a farmer's market where they actually sold the crops that they grew. Because it's all about developing real skills for the real world and then having the financial literacy and knowing your rights so that they have the mindset, the skills, the experience to live a free and independent life so that they're not controlled by the system. Like, they shouldn't be reliant on corporations. They shouldn't be reliant on the government. They shouldn't be reliant on you as the parent. And that's why we focus on what we focus on, because freedom doesn't come from these people. It comes from the manner of which you live your life. Like, people are like, oh, they made me get the you-know-what. No, they didn't. They just told you that you couldn't pay your mortgage. You didn't have to have a mortgage. And people, that triggers people, right? You didn't have to have a mortgage, right? That's why you needed that job, right? And, like, that's a tough pill to swallow, but the truth is, they didn't make you do it. Now, they coerced you, and it wasn't right, but they don't make you do it. Your freedom comes from the manner through which you live your life. my daughter's 5, and I refuse any more VAC or public school. I'm happy I'm not alone. Yeah, you're in the right place. And we do this stream every Friday, and we have a great community, by the way, in Homeschools Connected. So you're not alone. So come back here, and I'll try to bring the fun. Can't believe they tell kids we landed on the moon. Well, that actually gets me back to my scientific observation series, because that's kind of the idea behind it. Whereas, rather than telling children what the world is, we should allow children to observe the world around them and gain what I call observational confidence, so that they could figure out what the world is for themselves. So, like, you go on a nature walk, have them observe a tree. Have them write down their observations about every part of the tree. Like, what does the tree have? Write down. It has roots. It has a trunk. It has bark. It has branches. It has leaves. Some of the branches branch out. How much detail could you write about just the bark of the tree? Like, what does it feel like? Is it rough? Is it soft? Is it smooth? What color is it? What is the texture? Does it break in your hand? Is it moist? Is it dry? Observational confidence. Then take the leaves down and write down everything you could write about the leaf. Does it have a stem? Does it have veins? What is the coloration? Is it dry? Is it moist? Can you draw the leaf in as much detail as possible? Can you match the colorization? Can you draw every line in the stem, right? Can you document that leaf? Right? So you're challenging your children to use their observation, to use their discernment. Can you take out a measuring stick, the length, the width, right? Everything you could ascertain about that leaf. Then take a bunch of different leaves and break them into categories. These are the red leaves. These are the green leaves. These are the big leaves. These are the small leaves, right? Like, can you start to categorize them and compare and contrast their similarities and their differences? And just, you keep doing studies like this, and eventually what we're going to do is we're actually going to, probably starting in the summer, or maybe the winter, I got to see, we're going to start an offshoot of our scientific observation series, and it's all going to be about observing the stars, observing the heavens above, observing the sky. What is the moon? What is the sun? Can you observe them? What do they do? How do they act? How are they in relation with one another? Are the stars in the same location every night? What directions do the stars move in? What does a star look like through a telescope with your own eyes, rather than the images you're getting from NASA? What does a sunset do? Can you go to the beach and observe a sunset and watch it go away? And then what happens if you take out a telescope, or like a P900 or binoculars? Can you bring the sun back into focus? If a boat goes away on the horizon and then you take out a telescope, did the boat really go away, or can you view it through the telescope? Is the limitation curvature of the earth, or is the limitation of your own visibility? And by doing this, you're teaching your children to start to understand the world from the perspective of their own 5 senses, and to trust their discernment, and to develop observational confidence. And this is what we want to do when we teach our children science in early childhood, because then as they get older, they can discover what the world is for themselves. Melissa, please clip that whole rant. I want that rant. If you need me to get you the replay on this, I will. I've been wanting to communicate that for a little while, and I just communicated that. What are your thoughts? Actually, I don't want to say this because I don't know if your children are listening. All right, never mind. I started writing a new Cubs to Bears book about Christmas. Anyway, I don't want to, spoiler alert. But anyway, I'll ask the mothers about that in a more private setting, because I don't want upset any youth. But I started writing a new Cubs to Bears book about Christmas, but it's like it's like from the perspective of a 4-year-old who's awake. You guys get it. So it's going to be really cool. I've for the last few years, I've wanted to do a Christmas book that like stands the test of time. That's a big life objective of mine. And I finally kind of like figured out how to do it in my own unique way that's unique to me. And I'm really excited about it. But I'm going to have to put like big disclaimers on the book because you guys get it. Oh yeah, Cubs to Bears books. Yeah, well that's why in the Bible, and by the way, like even when I talk about the Bible, like I do think the Bible is grabbled. It's been translated a billion times. It was ultimately decided upon by a central authority at the Council of Nicaea. They took things out of the Bible, allegedly, could it be? So it's like, I even question the Bible. I don't question Jesus, but I question the Bible. But within the Bible, it does say 365 times to fear God only. And I think that is a very powerful message. And for the people that were close with Jesus, fear God only was a really essential tenet of his message, right? That this world will try to make you afraid of it. But if you're afraid of this world, then like it's a message. It's a line in a Jay-Z song. He says, "If fear is your only God, then getting you to fear me is my only job. If fear is your only God, then getting you to fear me is my only job." Right? Because then Jay-Z becomes your God. You see? Fear God only. What do I think about the central dollar? I think that it's inevitable. They are going to do that. That's a big part of the agenda. They are going to roll that out. There's no stopping it. So the question is, how will we prepare ourselves, right? Well, on the one hand, although I think all of these other parallel systems will be shut down, people are building parallel cryptocurrency systems. I think they're all going to be shut down, and there's only going to be one central cryptocurrency, which is controlled by the Fed, and it's not going to be beholden to the Constitution. So they are going to be able to turn on and off your ability to buy and sell based on your social credit. Right? Like right now you get banned off of Twitter, right? But like imagine if it's just money, right? They won't do that at first. At first they'll just roll it out for everyone, and then slowly over time they'll temporarily suspend one person's access, and then they'll give it back, and then they'll temporarily suspend it again and give it back, and then after they've normalized those temporary suspensions to your money, they'll start turning people's money off for having the wrong opinion. That's what they're going to do. It's going to take some time, but by 2050, I would say that'll be full. This will be the system. And they're going to pick winners and losers. So they're going to say certain people are victims. This is how they're going to get the public to love it. They're going to say like disadvantaged groups are going to get universal basic income and digital dollars sent to them. So like based on your victim status, you're going to have money sent directly to you, and they're going to buy the votes and whatnot and play into the victim status. They're also going to use crisis. So like, for example, in the past, they would bail out the automotive industry. They're not going to do that anymore. Here's what they're going to do. They're going to get situations where like the automotive industry needs a bailout. And what they're going to do is they're going to say, we are randomly putting 40,000 digital dollars into the accounts of 100 million random Americans based on their victim status. And you could only spend, because it's going to be like a DNA, like digital money DNA. They're going to say this money, because it has its DNA tracking, can only be spent on buying a Toyota, whatever, a Ford. And that's how they're going to bail out industries. And then all of these people that just got $40,000 free dollars, they're going to get a free car from the government, so they're going to love it. And this is how they're going to normalize and roll out the digital currency. So the question is, how will you prepare yourself, right? How will you prepare yourself? And the answer to that is to build as many parallel systems as possible. So for me, what does that look like? I sold my house to get out of debt, moved my family across the country, started a homestead, started growing our own food, right? I started my own business. But then what you want to do is, as you can, you want to get silver, right? Gold is expensive, but you want to get silver. You want to get things that you could barter, right? Like we're going to get meat birds. We're going to get laying chickens, right? So you want to have things of value, crops that we grow that you could trade, so that you position yourself so that even if they could shut off your money, you'll be all right. So, most people won't have to worry about that because most people aren't just on social media speaking hard truth. But you saw from what happened with Yeezy, right? That just how they could shut off your money, right? Well, imagine once they had these systems in place. Jiminy Pool could be blocked. I don't know if they spoke again, Melissa, but Jiminy Pool could be blocked. Assuming he was calling me drunk. Actually, no, Jiminy Pool, I don't ever drink. I'm guessing you're quite different. And I'm guessing if we compared my search history to yours, it would be quite embarrassing on your end. Unless you weren't talking to me, in which case I completely forgive you. Oh yeah, Nicole just wrote a new book. It's not my favorite topic, but she's talented and it's exciting as well. It's exciting as well. It's pretty obvious you're a Big Bear fan. It's my guy. God. The Big Bear is my guy. Crypto bros are embarrassing. They mean well. I think a lot of them are kind of blinded by their greed. And I'm not calling them greedy. I just they have their money in it and they believed in it. But when you do a real analysis of what's going to happen with crypto, it's, it was a very clever scheme. The central controllers have wanted to get digital currency forever. And they got the very group of people that would be opposed to it to usher it in. Kind of like Musk is doing with Twitter. He's going to get all these people to put a chip in their brain. These people that would have never done that. But he got the crypto bros that would have been against it, the libertarian type people, to actually, they're the ones that usher it. These were the people that are against the Fed, and they're creating the circumstances that are going to make the Fed more powerful than, we've ever imagined. Because all they have to do, it's not hard to oh, how are they going to stop it? How are they going to stop it? It's a blockchain. They can't track it. That doesn't matter. That's irrelevant. Their ability to track it is irrelevant. Here's what's relevant. They can, when they're ready, I understand how they function. What they're going to do is they're going to start running stories. And the stories are going to be along the lines of terrorism or that thing they do where people get put across borders, right? You guys get it. they're going to say that's being enabled by these cryptos. And they're going to run all these stories relentlessly. And then they're going to say the only way we can do this is if we only use the central banking crypto. And then what they're going to do is they're going to pass legislation and they're going to say you have 90 days to trade in all your crypto for central bank cryptocurrency, or after 90 days, if you're caught holding anything other than that, it's a felony with a minimum of 10 years in prison. And then you could do all your arguments of, oh, they can't track it. They can't track it. Okay, that's nice. Do you want to get caught holding something that will put you in jail for 10 years? Maybe you do, but I promise you 99% of the public won't. Dead on arrival. Right? If they wanted it shut down, it would be shut down. The reason crypto is allowed right now is because it's serving the interest of the central banks and the people. And it's like, oh, what? How are you saying it's serving the interest of the banks? Nothing is happening that's not serving the interest of the banks in the financial sector. That is the source of their power. They're not going to allow Johnny Internet to take away that power from them. It's nonsensical. And that's the truth about crypto. Now, if you want to invest with it, it's probably a good way to make money, but that's the truth about crypto. Yeah, I mean, don't worry, wondering Torah girl. It's it's bad people have always had bad plans, right? Like, it's nothing new. Like, Genghis Khan used to come to your shores, or the Vikings used to pull up on your shores and raid your village. And now, we don't worry about Vikings. We worry about central bankers. So it's not as scary as people make it out to be. Yeah, the logical fallacies class is based. I've enjoyed it. Jennifer, I was telling Melissa, I need you guys talking in the primary chat and not the private threads. Everyone's in private threads now, and it's like Jennifer, we would have never found you, and Melissa, we would have never found you without the primary chat. Like, that's where we make friendships. That's where we build communities. That's where I need you guys. And like, as good as I am at a lot of things, the truth is I'm not a social butterfly. I'm kind of introverted. I'm very in my own mind. I'm like a hyper creative type. Because of that, I sometimes struggle with organization because I have so many ideas and I'm being so creative that like, that's not my strength, but I need you guys. So like, get in there, get in that primary chat and show the new people what it is, because one of our strengths is building that community. And if we're all in private threads, then that won't come to be. Yeah, like I guess because I'm like an internet presence, I'm very rambunctious on here. But like in real life, I'm pretty introverted. I'm pretty quiet. I'm very in my head. I'm a hyper creative type. That's why before Ye was hanging out with people that I'm friends with, I was always a big fan of him because I recognized he was a hyper creative type. Like, I think Anchor's probably like that. Anchor's probably very creative, kind of humble in his own life. And if you go to Spotify and listen to Anchor Bear's music, like the guy's unbelievable. I saw him live in Missouri, and the guy brought the house down. He was unreal. Lost my spot. Onward, Bertaria. You damn right. My brother's a computer programmer, the smartest person I know, and won't do crypto. Yeah, I mean, crypto, I think, is actually I don't know, there's so many. I was going to say, like, the mark of the beast, but, Elon Musk is literally trying to put a chip in your head. Which, by the way, before anyone does that, they might want to look at the mortality rates of the monkeys in his trials. Not good. Not good. So before you let him chip you, you might want to see how those trials have gone. Some things you don't want us to talk about in the primary chat. Fair enough, Melissa. I'm just saying, Jennifer, Melissa, I need you guys. Like, I need you guys crushing the primary chat. Because that's, like, not my natural position to do that. I don't know. I'm not a social butterfly. Like, you don't become me by being a social butterfly. You guys see how I am. I'm constantly reading books. I listen to Owen Benjamin for 3.5 hours a day. I don't even know how I do that. I do that as I work. Yeah, Anchor crushes. I don't know if he's still here. He was before. And yes, thank you. Anyone interested in what we do, Homeschools Connected is available at www.classicallearner.com. You get access to all of the curriculum I create, original courses that are both pre-recorded and live courses that I teach, unit studies on the scientific method, our scientific observation series, our nature unit study, which is all about the development of skills and whatnot. I mean, you guys get it. So, Homeschools Connected, classicallearner.com. And if you use the discount code FREEDOM, it's $10 a month. What do I think about Tuttle Twins? I like Tuttle Twins. I like Connor. Yeah, I think everyone's kids should have the Tuttle Twins books. I don't know the ins and outs of their curriculum, but Agatha is one of their curriculum developers, and I've actually spoke to her a bunch. I haven't spoken to her in about like 18 months, but I've spoken to her a bunch in the past. Real cool chick, very libertarian minded, and I'm not a libertarian, but I respect libertarians. I think they have good hearts. So anyway, I think they're freedom oriented, and I think it's they have good materials for kids. So all right, guys, I think I'm gonna call a stream on that. I know Nicole wants to take a shower and be a person before we go to gymnastics at 1 o'clock. So anyway, I just wanted to do a community stream today. Had a lot of fun. We talked about things. We had our ups and downs, and we'll be back next Friday. I am now going to drink from this cup for the next 10 seconds. I finished what's in the cup for the most part, but I'm going to do it for Melissa anyway, and, that's what it is. You hear me slurping. No, I'm in America. I'm not Canadian. You call me Canadian? No, we have our right to bear arms around here. Canadian. No, you're probably asking about our homeschool community. Yes, we actually have many members in Canada, which is pretty cool. So, I like my Canadians. I just think you could use the right to bear arms. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'll be here next Friday. All right. Bye, guys.